You are a vessel of energy, and energy is infinitely existent. Beyond this realm of existence, energy can never die, only transmute into something entirely new. And if you are an embodiment of this immense potentiality, then you too can never truly die. The end of life, death as we say, can be a scary concept for many to comprehend. But the end of this chapter is only the prequel to the next story that is being written by your soul. You currently exist in a three-dimensional place, but within your imagination resides a metaphysical higher dimensional space, and it is this area where you operate as a higher singularity. Perhaps when we die, it is your ego which completes its mission, and that ego which has been formulated through life experience is simply not you. You are the observer of humanity, and humanity is just one piece of the great life puzzle that is...
How do you tend to your mental health?
Get the fuck away from everybody.
Yes. I smoke, I drink, I do my thing. I ain't supposed to stop shit because I'm a grown ass man.
That's not tending to your mental.
Yes, you can't tell nobody how to tend to their mental health, baby. When I'm drunk, I'm mentally happy. When I'm high, I'm happy. My mental health is happy when I'm high and drunk.
Welcome to Wide Awake. I'm your host, Blue Jay and Robinson. I would like to cover what it means to self-medicate. In the beginning of the intro, you'll see a meme. You've seen the meme, and the guy is talking about how can't nobody tell him nothing as far as being a grown man and tending to his mental health by constantly getting drunk and constantly being high. He said, when he's drunk, he's mentally happy. When he's high, he's mentally happy. And so since he's grown, shouldn't nobody be able to tell him about himself. Self-medication is defined as a human behavior in which an individual uses a substance or a behavior to attempt to deal with depression, anxiety, or other physical or intense emotions, even pain, to alleviate that. And that's usually without the guidance of a medical professional. Self-medication has always been frowned upon simply because there's a thin line between self-medication and addictive, abusive behavior, basically. When I was younger, I can remember my mom working extensively, more hard than some of my friends and their parents. And because she would work so hard, it was kind of up to us as siblings to make sure we got about our day-to-day. And our older sister basically was, in charge of handling us. And because my mom was working so hard, I think that we each kind of went through our own shit individually within that time. And so I feel like a lot of the childhood adversity that we have is linked to why we become mentally ill or why we experience mental illness. So there were times where my mom wasn't present, and so that led into me feeling like I needed to become independent to a point where I needed no one, and to the point to where couldn't nobody tell me anything when I was experiencing certain things as a young adult, or as a child that grew or had to develop faster than an ordinary child that has a decent, that doesn't have the extenuating circumstances that children who live in poverty or children who are brought up by a single parent experiences. As I became older, I had a lot of things that happened to me and a lot of trauma, which are psychological wounds, right? So we develop habits. We are habitual as human beings, and addiction is very human. You know, I think that people look at self-medication and addiction being very, interrelated with each other. And so that's why it's been discouraged. But the more you explore the unresolved trauma in yourself as an adult, the more you're able to examine yourself and why you are having the experience in the first place, why you feel the way you feel when you're having that experience where you just want to, where you have a craving to either a substance or a behavior that brings temporary relief to, satisfy the craving and basically discourage. But the more you explore the unresolved trauma in yourself as an adult, the more you're able to examine yourself and why you are having the experience in the first place, why you feel the way you feel when you're having that experience where you just want to, where you have a craving to either a substance or a behavior that brings temporary relief to, satisfy the craving. And basically, is it to a point where you are suffering negative consequences? Is it to a point where you're not functioning because of that craving? Is it to that point where you build that tolerance and now things that should be important are not important anymore? In reality, I feel like when you have an addiction to drugs or alcohol, because that's a part of it, but that's not solely it, because it could be gambling, it could be shopping, it could be pornography, it could be the internet, it could be anything, drama. These are things that are behaviors that people don't really automatically look at when they are talking about self-medicating. It doesn't have to just be about drugs, but when you're craving those things, it's because of the disconnection you feel from yourself, because that's what trauma does to you. It disconnects you from yourself. And I think that I made this page because childhood suicide is at an all-time high. As a parent, I wanted to let other black people know specifically that it's okay to feel insane or be awake in an insane world. It's important for black men and people who come from having to harden up from experiencing trauma over and over again. It's important for people to know that some of the people you look at that you think is capable of all of these horrible things are some of the most thoughtful, genuine people that you could ever meet. It's just that because of childhood adversity or extenuating circumstances where you experience trauma over and over and over and over again, you develop these behaviors that harden you because of what you're going through, because of being in survival mode, because of experiencing mental illness. And it's not necessarily what's happening to you, it's what's going on inside of you. It's you know, having those memories that bring up feelings that you don't want to feel and not knowing how to deal with that. Personally, weed has been one of the greatest things that I could have ever experienced to self-medicate. So I won't, this is not something to come off as if because you're self-medicating it's a bad thing, but look at the relationship that you have with why you do what you do. And, you know, some people choose to identify with their trauma in a way where you are disconnected from yourself, so you don't even know what's right for you anymore. This is why it's important that you recognize that your anxiety comes from real situations like financial instability, loneliness, and it leaves you feeling exhausted because your body is signaling an alarm to itself. And whether it's meditation or medication, it's important to know that you can find ways to cope and that you're not alone, you are worthy, you have value, and this is an experience that you could use as an opportunity to just help others and share your story, basically. So, I'll see you next time. Y'all be good.